Hello, so if you are watching this video, then you have chosen to do the Folktale Find. And so I'm going to tell you all about what I expect you to do with this one activity for our cultural project. So these are the things you must include. So you need to go on the internet and search for a folktale. And again, remember, a folktale is kind of a story that comes from specific cultures and it's been passed down for generations. And so you need to copy the folktale onto a document because when you present your whole cultural project, you may be reading aloud the folktale when you present it. Okay? Now, you're not just going to read a folktale, you have to actually bring it to life. So you get two options here. You can create a skit, which means just a short play. So if you want to create a skit, you need a copy of the script. So you need to type up a script in a Google Doc about all the different actors, and we can have your classmates play some of the parts too. So it doesn't have to be just you by yourself. You can make a skit and have some classmates play a part, okay, for the folktale. Or if you don't feel like doing a skit in front of the class, you can create a comic / Powtoon. Now a comic is something you can easily do on a Google slide, and Powtoon is one that you might actually need a little bit of practice with if you haven't made a Powtoon before. So you decide what's best for you. So here's the steps that I took. I looked for a Greek folktale. First I Googled Greek folktale kids, and I clicked on a link that looked reliable. It was Dinolingo. Then I looked through and picked a folktale that I liked, and I decided to pick The Most Beautiful Child. Finally, I copied and pasted this into a Google slide. So let me just give you an example. So say I go Greek folktale kids. So if you just type folktale, sometimes they're not super kid friendly. So I would type in kid afterwards. And then, oh, look, here's that Dinolingo link I told you about. So this seems like a trustworthy site because I've heard of that Dinolingo before. And so I skimmed through, I read through, these are all different folktales, and I really liked this one, The Most Beautiful Child. All right. Now I actually read through it and decided on that specific folktale. And then I just highlighted it all. I two-finger touched and I copied it. Okay. And then I created a doc, or excuse me, not a doc. I actually created a Google slide, and I will show you what that looks like here in a second. So here are my examples. I made a comic and a Powtoon to just show you an example. I didn't create a skit. I feel like you guys can kind of do that on your own. But I did create a comic just for you to see. So here's my example. So remember I said I copied and pasted. So here's the folktale so that I can read it aloud when I'm presenting to the class. Okay. And then I created a comic based on the main parts. So here's the title, The Most Beautiful Child, a Greek folktale, comic by Mrs. Clark. And I did all this on Google Slides. Okay. So I started with the setting, characters. Okay, the setting is a school in Greece outside. We've got a teacher, children, an owl, and a partridge. And I just got these images from Google. So I just searched the web and typed in school or Greek teacher or Greek children, an owl, and a partridge. Okay. And then I created the comic. So I made speech bubbles, which you can do on the shapes right here. So if you click shapes, it's down here in callouts. You can make all these different speech bubbles or thought bubbles. And once you create those, you can just double click and type into them. Okay. And so you can read through my comic if you want. And you might notice too, so I made lines to differentiate. Like in a comic, you have different squares or boxes. So I made those lines too. And here's the owl who's taking bread to a child. You'll have to read through it. It's a pretty good folktale. And that's it. And see, look, mine is just a quick 3-page slide. Okay, so that's my example of the comic. Here is my Powtoon, and I'm not going to play it for you all. I will put this Powtoon in the Google Classroom as an example if you want to look for it, and so you can see it's kind of slow, but it's only 53 seconds long, so it goes pretty quick. All right, so that's the Greek folktale. And so again, you need to make sure you have a copy of the folktale, and you need to choose to either create a skit, comic, or a Powtoon. All right, have fun. Can't wait to see the results.